Hi, today we're going to have a look at a new concept called model chaining in artificial intelligence. Now, this is also not very new to AI. In fact, there are a lot of concept that has been inherited from the information security. Okay. In fact, the people who have joined me for CSSP or who are preparing for the CSP, you know that the data encryption standard and the other standards, cryptographic algorithm, they've got what is called as an chaining. Okay, usually the block ciphers. Okay, they have we have what is called as an electronic code book, output feedback mode, cipher feedback mode. Okay, the counter mode. Okay, so like that. Okay, it's not the same way, but there's something called the model chaining in artificial intelligence. Okay, now there's like segregation of duty. So instead of one model doing multiple activity, you can divide the work into multiple modules. Okay, you can have all the modules in a sequence, like how the assembly line, the manufacturing unit actually works. This helps in governance, and this also helps in security. In this video, we're going to have a look on how it helps in security and the governance. Now, what is model chaining? Connect multiple AI models together. Okay, in a sequencing assembly line, the output of the previous model is input for this particular model. Input of the current model, output of the current model is input for the next model. Okay, we call this as a model chaining. Now, how does it help in governance and security? You're going to divide the complete activity into multiple chunks. Okay, so you've got each and every module doing is focusing on a specific task of the overall picture. Okay, so we can easily find out where exactly the problem. Okay, where it went wrong actually. Okay, helps in governance. Transparent and auditable, okay, because the auditability or something called the explainability is a veritable core for the data AI governance. Now, whenever there is an function that is executed, in case of a model chaining, I can clearly pinpoint and say the output of this model is fed as the input of the next model. So the explainability becomes very easy. We can get to know why did it happen and where did it happen. Okay, explainability becomes very easy. There's one of the biggest concern that we actually have in even the Gen AI, right? In the generally the artificial intelligence system, the explainability and auditability is very important, and it's also introduced what is called as a transparency, because the entire execution of from the start to finish is something that we can see how it actually happened. So it's very transparent. So the black box. Okay, when you're not able to explain what's exactly happening in the black box, okay, we're going to involve model chaining. Okay, it's going to make it easier for you to understand why it actually happened. Pinpoint errors in the bias without chaining. Okay, it's a single model. We cannot say what had happened. Complex model, very hard to know the biased outcome. Okay, with the chaining, it is not very tough. Okay, we can get to know what is the output of a previous model. So when you can easily check the first model failed to read the input, or the second model introduced the bias, where did the bias actually happen in the model chain is something that you can actually get to know. And Mars makes the system easier to audit. Okay, when the explainability and auditability is something that we actually discussed. So in the model chaining, okay, because each and every model works on a specific task, okay, the auditability becomes very easy. Simplify the human oversight. Okay, the human in the loop is one of the one of the concepts, because if you look at the trustworthy AI, okay, there are seven principles, okay, on which it actually works. Okay, the human in loop, okay, the human involvement in AI is one of the veritable requirements for trustworthy AI. Okay, we have got human in the loop, human on the loop, human command, and human out of the loop. So in the model chaining, okay, we have this human in the loop at the critical points. For example, the loan approval. Okay, so we have got multiple models, okay, working on so first we'll divide the entire requirement into multiple tasks. Okay, each and every task is given to a particular model, and the chaining actually happens. Okay, now if the requirement is pretty crucial or critical, before we get into the last step, okay, with the model actually the AI application automatically saying it's approved or rejected, okay, the human in the loop will take a critical decision. One of the examples that I always discuss in my certified AI governance officer training, where one of the models, okay, rejected an application for loan, and it was based on the pin code. Okay, historically, the people who applied the loan, okay, from this particular pin code, they were all from a low income group. Okay, so based on what the application has learned during the training phase, it has rejected the application. Okay, when the human in the loop is available, okay, so the rejection will not happen automatically. It's supervised, or the final decision is made by the human. Okay, so in fact, it paves the way for the responsible artificial intelligence, okay, responsible or trustworthy AI. Makes updates and fixes more efficient. Okay, each and if it's going to be a single model taking multiple decisions, okay, the fixing a problem becomes a bit of a tough. But in this particular scenario, there are models that are involved one by one. If a model needs to be updated, okay, so we can easily do it. Okay, makes updates and the fixes more efficient, provides a shared responsibility model because there are multiple models involved in the chaining, and every model I can make an I can have somebody responsible for that particular task. And if I have a query, then I can easily approach them to say, okay, so can you please explain me why your model did this way? That's number one. Number two, if they want to change something, okay, to improve the model performance, they can do it. Okay. Now I can have the RACI chat in the model chaining. Okay, I can mention all the models together, and I can assign somebody responsible for that particular model. Instead of one model, one complete model, and the responsible person, he's not able to answer what exactly is happening. In model chaining, it's pretty easy, okay, for that particular person to answer it, because we are going to ask him the question only on the model for which he is responsible for. Okay. Input sanitation and threat detection. Okay, the model chaining also helps information security. In fact, the first model can do the input sanitation and then sanitization and threat detection. In fact, OWASP top 10 vulnerability. Okay, one of the vulnerabilities is cross-site scripting. So you can, if there's an input field, you can have the script, tag, and then you can say alert. Okay, you can give an alert. In fact, there's a common way by which somebody can test whether the site is prone for the cross-site scripting or not. Now, if there's an input sanitization model, and then threat detection model, okay, the first model, okay, in the complete chain, okay, your entire chain is actually secured. So malware filtering you can have as the first model, or the prompt injection defense, okay, especially if your application is LLM application, okay, you can have the prompt injection defense as the first model. Segregation of data, okay, so you can have trusted and untrusted data, like how we have in the infrastructure, trust zone, untrusted zone, DMZ, etc. Okay. Now, if you're going to use the data which is from an untrusted source, you can have separate model to deal with it. And if you're going to deal with the internal trusted data, that could be a separate model to deal with it. Okay, they can exchange the communication, but you don't have you don't need to compromise your complete trusted data with an input from the untrusted data. So this also helps you in segregation of data. Human in the loop for sensitive tasks. That's what we just explained as a part of your loan approval application. Okay. And the model chaining helps you in that, and auditability and traceability. Identify the point of failure. Okay, for example, if the infrastructure is prone for an infrastructure has been hit with an information security breach, and it's a model chaining that you actually have. So you can pinpoint a particular model for which is compromised by the hacker. Okay, instead of looking at the complete chain, okay, you know where exactly the problem is. In fact, it's like a train. Okay, every compartment is actually a model. Okay, and if there is a fire in a particular compartment, you just dismantle or disengage that particular then a compartment, and rest of the train is free to run, or all set to run. Okay, so you're going to fix only that particular part. So the model chaining works in a similar fashion. If there's a particular model which has been hit with the security incident, okay, so you can just focus on that particular model and fix it. Okay. Principles of least privileges, limited damage. Okay, it helps to enforce the least privilege, minimal amount of data resources that you need to perform that particular task. Okay, so you don't need to. We're going to have a look at one of the flows of the case study. Okay, so I will explain you what the principles of least privileges that exactly is. The model, okay, the doctor gives an instruction, okay, to the application. First model is voice to text. So whatever he's going to say to the application is going to get converted to the text. And second is the security layer, where the input validation actually happens, okay, which is converted from the voice to text. So output of the model one is given as input to the model two. And output of the model 2 is given as input to the model 3, the intent classification, what the doctor actually wants to perform. And output of the model 3 is given as input to the model 4. Okay, so it retrieves the data from the the data set, and and it goes as a response. Okay, in fact, when the data retrieval actually happens, it uses the principles of least privileges. It picks up exactly what is required for the response. Give the response to the Gen AI. Okay, it's going to generate an invoice, it's going to generate the prescription, whatever it is, depending upon what the doctor has specified it to do. So model chaining, okay, helps in your data, I mean, AI security and AI governance. Okay, in fact, there's a design concept. Okay, if you're going to go for the explainable AI, okay, and you can incorporate the model training as a part of your AI application design. Okay, so you're going to divide the complete application into multiple models. Okay, and you can go for a chaining. Now, this is something which also as a part of your AI orchestration. But AI orchestration is not only for the model training, so it can be for your agentic AI as well. Okay, so the model training is a beautiful concept to be incorporated as a part of your AI application development. I would definitely recommend you to go for it. Thanks, and stay connected and subscribe, and join us for certified AI governance officer, security officer, privacy officer, and a certified AI officer with an ISO 2001 lead implementer. Write to us on training at rate.iaaas.org.uk for your certified data protection officer and artificial intelligence related training. Cheers, then bye bye. This is Subbu here.